But joining me in the studio now is somebody that has been very supportive of Boris Johnson throughout his time at Number 10 and backed him to become Prime Minister once again. Bill Cash, Sir Bill Cash, of course, Conservative MP for Stone. Mr. Cash, welcome to the studio, Sir Bill.
Hello, Mark. Yes.
Well, you've arrived and the news has broken that Boris is out of the race. Your reaction?
Well, I am very disappointed, I have to say, because apart from anything else, in the last 36 hours, I put out a tweet backing Boris, and in fact, it's got 646,000 hits. So that gives you some idea about the extent and scale in the party membership and also in the public at large. So there must be a reason. Of course, I've only just heard that this is the case, and on the assumption that it's true, I can only say I'm extremely disappointed. I will point out that actually under the rules and the constitution of the Conservative Party, it does say that, I'm reading from it here, the leader shall be elected by the party members and the Scottish party members. And it shall be the duty of the 1922 committee to present to the party as soon as reasonably practicable, upon the initiation of an election for the leader, a choice of candidates for election as leader. Now, I think a lot of people will immediately reach for their constitution, I hope, to have a good look at that, because it quite clearly states that there should be an election by the party members. And
however,
that's what it says.
In the absence of 100 Conservative MPs backing Penny Mordaunt, then Rishi Sunak is our next Prime Minister.
Well, I'm not saying that that isn't going to happen, because I'm not in a position to give you an off-the-cuff version on that. What I can say to you is that I am very disappointed. I personally think that Boris Johnson has been extremely badly treated over the last 18 months. I think he actually is a man of enormous charisma. I think that he is a brilliant and was an extremely effective leader in terms of Ukraine, COVID, the whole question of winning the general election with a stonking majority of over 80. And basically, I don't think there's anybody since Margaret Thatcher in the Conservative Party who's come anywhere near that.
Is his political career gone forever now? Was that his moment?
Well, I can't answer that question either, unfortunately, because...
Would you say never in terms of a return?
I do say that, never say never, because we don't know. There's been so much really very regrettable disloyalty in certain parts of the Conservative Party which have led to not only his demise, but also, and I'd like to pay tribute also to his successor, because Liz Truss, who in fact I saw today,
were you at Chequers?
She's bearing up extremely well in the circumstances.
I hear there were drinks and canapes at Chequers.
I've no idea about any details other than to say that I can tell you that my personal view is that both of them have been treated very shabbily by a lot of people.
And should Penny Mordaunt concede this race to Rishi Sunak now, given the fact that he achieved the support of so many Conservative MPs already, with more to come, no doubt?
Well, we saw what happened in the last party membership election, and Rishi Sunak actually was well ahead with 134 from within the Conservative Parliamentary Party. Of course, Liz Truss won by a large majority, 57% in this case, of the votes that she got. And that proves the point, which is that a lot of people have more faith in their own vote than they do in the decisions taken by members of the Conservative Party in Parliament. This actually may well turn out to be something which will be very seriously discussed on this occasion. But I can't say that I don't know there's going to be a choice of candidates at this point in time. It's just an assumption that seems to be feeding in at the moment, that it will just be one person.
Well, I suppose the Boris votes will go to Mordaunt. Does that take her to 100?
Well, that's another question which I'm afraid I can't answer.
But you know the party intimately well?
I do. At least I've been in there 38 years, so I've been there a long time. And I've seen the assassination of Margaret Thatcher, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs for various people. I've seen a magnificent victory by Boris Johnson, who will go down as a really great Prime Minister in terms of his what he did on Ukraine, his stonking victory in the Brexit general election. And I don't think he's going to be a footnote in history at all. Quite the opposite.
Now, why has he thrown the towel in? Because this guy's not a quitter. He's determined. He's got a thick skin. He's ambitious. Of course, he wanted to be world king as a child. So what's your suspicion as to why he has withdrawn his participation in this contest, even though he didn't really declare, but we know that privately he wanted to become Prime Minister again. What's gone wrong? Is it simply mathematics?
Well, my understanding, for what it's worth, and I mean, obviously we've got no confirmation of this, but I've seen on some news flashes that we've just been shown that actually he got over 100 nominations and properly filled in online on nominations, not just guesswork. Of course, I'm not in a position to verify that, but what I can say to you is that on that basis, there must have been other factors that he wanted to bring into account. And the other thing I will say that I repeat, I'm very disappointed, is the fact that the Privileges Committee issue kept on being raised. And for my money, that should not have been a factor to prevent him from standing. I mean, I heard somebody this morning on one of the television programmes who was being interviewed, a Conservative, saying that he had, and I'm paraphrasing, that he deliberately misled the House of Commons. No, he did not. The reality is that the motion that was passed, which was a red-hot Labour motion, trying to trap him, actually said that the accusation against him was that he had misled Parliament. I won't go into it now. There's a long history to this, but it goes back to the 1990s. I mean, even John Major said that if a member of Parliament was to be, or minister was to be accused, the test had to be knowingly misled. That was endorsed by the Treasury and Civil Service Committee in the 1990s and the Public Service Committee, and then by a resolution of the House of Commons itself, with agreement quite clearly on a completely cross-party basis when Tony Blair was Prime Minister, when John Major was Prime Minister and Tony Blair was Leader of the Opposition. So for practical purposes, that is the rule. And I remain gravely concerned, as I said in an early day motion that I put down, that the word misled is the basis upon which people are being accused.
However,
anybody could do this inadvertently.
And I defer to your, your legal.
This is something that would be looked into.
I defer to your legal expertise. You are, after all,
because he's still
QC.
subject to this. Still subject to this. I'm not actually, but I've been Shadow Attorney General.
Well, that's exactly right. So if it hadn't gone his way, he might have been suspended from the House of Commons, which could have sparked a constitutional crisis.
I would be astonished if it knowingly mislead, which is the right test and still in force as of today. In 1997, in the 1997 resolution is applied, knowingly misleads, and we can't spend too much time on this now for obvious reasons, but actually it makes a massive difference, and it completely undermines the functioning of the House and our democracy to apply the term misled on its own and not to include the word knowingly in front of it.